when you talk to the government today, because we know your story, but what I want, whoever is listening who may be new to this, who don't know you, is that this whole this thing about tourism destroys, but there's a positive story also. It brings so much employment, it does all that. So when you talk to government today about, let's say you're going to start a new hotel or enter a new area, do you find resistance? Do you find support? What do you find? I mean, I suppose everybody can participate, even Abinash, you tell us, because we're all entrepreneurs in a different way,
I am now talking in the BC era, BC before COVID era. In that context, tourism, wherever it has gone in Kerala, whether it has been in the heritage location, whether it has been in the rural locations, it somehow has contributed to rejuvenating that area. It has brought confidence. It has brought people's optimism to that place, and it is all because tourism, jobs, public spending, all of that are all interconnected. So tourism has been
then I want to say one thing then. You see, in the notes that Himmat made, in the questions that he laid out, he says at the end, is the tourism industry paying lip service to all this environment? I actually think it's the reverse. I think it's the government that pays lip service to tourism and environment, because we are all doing our best wherever we are. We've greened hills, we've done all that. In fact, the PM also, when he talked about 5 T's, we were fascinated. We said we've never heard this from the ramparts of the Red Fort. But then what happened? Then PM to CM to DM to SDM, and we were back to square one. So I think that we could move to the next question. I think we are moving slower than we were scheduled to. The next question is really to say that this experience that is offered to the guests, I think the 3 players in this will be Bapji, Lakshyaraj, and Abinash. People want this to be cheap, or they perceive it to be very expensive. And I think maybe Lakshyaraj should speak first, because I think the most expensive room that is available in India or in the heritage sector is at the Lake Palace. It's for 22 lakhs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would just start this with a rider that even in a democracy, everything cannot be for everybody. Even in a communist state, everything is not for everybody, because the lifestyles of the people who head the communist states is scandalous. Their bank accounts, all that we know. So why should anybody expect this cheap label when you offer a whole spectrum from the very top to the bottom? Lakshyaraj, perhaps you can speak first.
So what is it, the issue that we're trying to address here? What are we?
No, the issue we're addressing is the negativity attached to a high price tag.
Every coin will always have 2 sides. I don't think that there is a debate on this that can ever be won by either or party. There will always be 2 sides to a coin. And there will always be people who will like one thing or the other. But as far as you are not doing anything which is unethical, immoral, illegal, and there is conviction, and you're doing something out of passion. So I think those are the things that one really need to concentrate on. And at the end of the day, those days are now gone where heritage hospitality was an excuse for bad hospitality. Now heritage hospitality is in par with the best of the best in the world. And today,
often better, because they can't match our service, our manpower ratio, and so many other things.
Yeah, exactly. So, there are so many nitty-gritties, there are so many nuances, but without getting into all of those, I think world over, we are, now very much in competition with the best. And I think our elders have worked very hard to put Rajasthan, the heritage hotels and all of that onto the world map, all over Rajasthan, not only just in southern Rajasthan, but generally Western India, and all the heritage properties, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. I think everybody there, with the help of a body and like-minded people all have come together, popped up in a lot of places, and passion has been their predominant fuel. And we don't see it as a hotel, we don't see it as a business, we see this as our home. So the fact of the matter is that what we are actually doing today is sharing our homes. We are welcoming people into our homes, and it's not which is where the true tradition of Indian hospitality actually begins. That this is where hospitality began. That you didn't get somebody to come and stay at your place to make money. You got them there because that is what our culture was. And today, that aspect of things, that nuance with heritage hospitality is still so prominently existent that when those people come, they really actually say that, oh, it feels a home away from home. And that happens at so many of our places, be it here, be it elsewhere. And that's purely because the people who were there.
I don't think anybody who's a traveler, Lakshyaraj, has a home like your home. So, if they feel at home, that's good for them. But Babji, what is your feeling about the price tag and the negativity which is, created around this, which continues actually? We can't hear you, Babji, I think.
Yeah, I go back. I think that whole scenario is changed. And an element of Indians who now are affluent, they want to travel, they want the best, they are more demanding than foreigners, but they're ready to pay, and they pay, unlike before. And also, I think in the heritage segment, we have to differentiate between the starred palaces and the rest of our heritage properties. And if we start with the palaces, people are prepared to pay anything. And they, as Lakshyaraj just said, they actually are very grateful. I got so many letters saying, thank you for sharing your home with us. And they really want to feel a part of that. And also the other thing we have to be very proud of is our people, our staff, what they can offer in terms of a natural feeling towards hospitality. You don't get anywhere else. And when I was chairman RTDC, this is what the other people from the other states used to say, that you've got your forts and palaces, but you've got one.
Yeah. No, I think that we can't hear. Is that okay? Yeah. I was thinking that actually, the problem in India, which has been, is always, a money problem. Either there's too little of it or there's too much of it, So I think that once the bottom, the money problem with those who have a want for it is settled to a certain extent, that everybody comes to a respectable level, then there will be less criticism of the luxuries of the upper style of living. And in that, I think we all play a role, but the government role in that,
I want to make one more point. The thing is, we started with that. That's why I made the division between the super deluxe palaces and the rest of the properties. Now, this is where the misconception lies, is that the rest of the properties are out of bounds, which is not true. They are very, very reasonable. Many of our heritage hotels, especially the smaller ones, new ones, are giving you a home experience, giving you heritage, and giving you that kind of hospitality that you won't get in a chain of hotels. And they are at a very reasonable cost. And I think this is something we have to get across to the Indian traveler, particularly. And I think, as you said in the beginning, now is the time. People are looking for getting away, having a home experience, getting out. And also a lot of the urban people, they want their children to know about our heritage. So this is the right time, and I think we must put across the fact that we are not as expensive as they might consider.
Okay, so perhaps you could...
I'd like to make a point here, sir, if I may.
Yes.
I think the concept of people expecting heritage properties or environmentally oriented properties to be cheaper, I think is a little misplaced, because both these segments are unique experiences for consumers, for travelers. And today's traveling public are looking, the 25, 35 millennials, post millennials are looking for experiential travel. And I also feel they're willing to pay. I think Ryan has mentioned that some time back. They're willing to pay. In India today, when I see and I talk to various hoteliers, we find that the Indian traveler is a higher paying traveler than the inbound traditional, you know, series or group that used to come all these years.
Yeah.
Indians have the capacity to pay.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
In places like Singapore and other countries, they seem to have the highest paying propensity. So today we have this situation. Steve mentioned some time back that Corona allows us to now leverage this, and the same traveler, double the number of Indians travel abroad than foreigners coming to India. So that whole market is waiting for these unique experiences, and I think price is not such a big.
Yeah, that's a
consideration.
good point made. But your price is not the issue. But yeah, but I think that if this COVID had happened 25 or 30 years ago, it would have been much more tragic in that sense, because there was no Indian traveler to go to the heritage hotels at that point, not in these numbers. So the next point which Himmat had made was that Ladakh has been declared by the Ministry of Tourism as God's second country. I didn't know God had a first country and a second country and a third country. I think
God's own country is Kerala.
I know, but that's God's own country. But this is the second country. I don't know, whichever. It's a stepchild or whatever they think it is. But
case of dual passports.
Sorry?
Case of dual passports.
No, but I think that so the question here is that Ladakh is virgin country. It's a huge tract of land, and these 800 million people that we're talking about, the local, if they all, I mean not all, but even a small percentage, if that all start running to Ladakh, what is the future of Ladakh? It's going to be a mess, especially based on the kind of planning we've done since independence till today. So what is the solution? Jose, would you like to talk about from God's own country?
Speaking from God's own country, look at it, what is God's own country? And I think I just relate this to the previous question. What creates luxury? And the earlier question was it justifiable to charge a price which is beyond the realm of people? Here I think we must remember tourism's purpose is an industry. Of course it's great, it's a home and all that, but it's an industry. It's about creating livelihoods, and how it can create livelihood by not by creating built ostentations, but by experiences. And here, whether it's in a palace, whether it's in Ladakh, whether it's in backwaters of Kerala, all these places are capable of that. But importance is that tourism is not for the tourist. That must be remembered. It is for the benefit you can provide to the destination, to the environment, to the local community. And that should be the priority of hierarchy. And here, I would say that Ladakh, if so many people go there, even a few people go there, they can be too many. And therefore, this concept of over-tourism is upon us. Here I would just take 2 years ago, we had a meeting with the Responsible Tourism Society of India in Goa, very attended by many young players in Goa market, in Goa tourism, startup entrepreneurs, guides, many such people. And statistics was revealed that Goa's population was 14 lakhs, and Goa's visitor numbers, footfalls in a year, was 64 lakhs.
Wow!
One of the speakers then said, "What has this done to Kerala?" And he was comparing done to Goa, and he was comparing it what tourism has done to Kerala. Kerala, they said that Goa was inviting in tourists, inviting investment, So large hotels were built, 500-room hotels were built, and the 64 lakh tourists who came, the cream was taken by the corporate investors, and we go when they said, and I'm just quoting that, we go when they left to clean up the garbage. And that was the attitude that came out. Similar can be the situation in Ladakh if it happens that way. Therefore, the priority, I think the learning is that we must put environment absolutely number one. Without excuse, the severest conditions to be applied, communities next, and only then the consumer comes in. And consumer, what I mean, that the industry of tourism must serve the first two interests. And this is, I think, the biggest learning.
Do checks and balances work in India? Because, Bhutan did this, they put a cap, but then you flew into Bhutan and there was a minimum price you had to spend. So it was easy to do that, But in a destination like Nainital, which when we went as children, you could walk around. Now you get 5 lakh tourists, in summer, and it's an absolute blockade going up, coming down. So I think we have to have very strong checks and controls. And I think the local community factor is important. If you don't want a permanent mark, then if Ladakh is good in summer, for example, then we should do tents, and not just build hotels, because, tents are wonderful. Local people can be trained to do that. But who does this? If the entrepreneur does it, he becomes an outsider. If those people can be sent out and trained, Ladakh is a huge area, and basically it celebrates wilderness or nothingness, or a planet, a lunar planet, which is completely different from Kerala or, the Andamans and so on. So I think it's again an issue of private-public partnerships, and the government, the government stepping back and letting the players play. I think that when the government doesn't consult the stakeholders and treats us like children, I don't know if we have too much time. I wanted to tell a story. I once went to a convent.
Go ahead. We've got 16 minutes to go. And after that, let's get Steve in.
Okay, we've got 2 questions. No, but I wanted to share this because you remember this, because I was once called to a convent, Tara Hall in Simla, to give a talk. And the subject I chose was limericks. So the Mother Superior, when I met her, I told her that, the limericks can be quite naughty and blue. So to what extent can I, go with these young girls, who are school girls? And she looked at me and she laughed and she said, actually, they know all about life and sex and so on, but we have to keep pretending that they don't know. So the situation with us is that the government knows we know better than them, but they don't listen to us. And they keep talking down to us like they were the principals and we were the students, So when will this change? How will this change? Because if it won't change post-COVID, then it's never going to change,
Aman, I think we have passed those days where publicity and the government can push a destination. Today, our traveler is very smart. He does his own research. He gets his own feedback. A destination grows because of what it is. I think good policies governed very strictly can make Ladakh a very safe destination. Why are we reinventing? We have seen this all over the world. Take Gitoan. No petrol, no fuel, no electricity, nothing. So beautifully managed. I think we got to take, you cannot stop. You cannot say only 100 people can go, 200 people can go. No, it'll have a natural growth. But we got to be extremely responsible, sustainable, innovative and regenerative.
TV, 5 lakh people land up in Ladakh, everybody sits in their car. How do you manage it? That's the problem.
If individuals can do it in special areas, why can't the government or the local state government do it for the state? We can do it. We have created transformed 3 villages into this. That is very responsible, and we have connected. We have connected the tourist. We have connected the tourist directly to the local community. Give priority to the local communities, take care of the environment, and we should create that. That's why we have regulatory bodies. Let the Tourism Development Corporation do it. If they can regulate me, we can regulate Ladakh. Let's take special care. There should be special zones. How is the world doing it? I can't go into Gitoin or into some places like Aachen.
No, you can't compare yourself with Switzerland and places like, I mean, the world does it because the world is more disciplined, Here, when you tell somebody not to do something in India, they derive double the pleasure in doing it, because there's this mentality first from the government side of like bureaucracy also to stop people, and from
I strongly believe, Aman, those days are gone. Today, if we want to do it, we can do it. This town is such a beautiful little town. It was the dirtiest town. We can educate people. We can regulate people. Those days are a passé and it's gone. Today, the world is different. Look at Kerala, rebuilding Kerala with the project Muzaris. They are taking Kerala back by 1,000 years and then regenerating it from there. I think we can do it.
Giving a very good example. Abinash, you had something to say?
Yeah, I wanted to just bring some points on the table. Let's see the example of Khajuraho. Khajuraho is a city, excellent in terms of culture, heritage, temples, etc.
Yes.
Near tiger sanctuaries and so on. A lot of hotels are being built in Khajuraho, but there are no flights. That they even have a brand new airport. But there's only 1 or 2 flights that go in that city, and really the industry is hurting very, very poorly because connectivity is poor. Let's take the example which is Ladakh.
The point is that we have to all gather. If just the hotels of that place are going to say, we are starving, we are dying, and all the rest of us are saying our hotels are doing fine, then we don't become a lobby strong enough, to deal with the government. I
Correct.
think
So Ladakh, the issue of Ladakh being appointed, let's say, as God's second country, it's a small airport. There are hardly any aircraft that go there. There's not many hotels. I think this is a nice slogan. It helps that territory and that area, but the carrying capacity is just not there. And even if the people reach there, where will they stay? Because even today, Ladakh is a experiential travel destination. So,
No, but your point about Khajuraho is very well taken. It's a ready-made destination full of accommodation, excellent hotels, very nice villages, cleanliness. Why is it not developing? Because there is no vested interest to push it at the top or whatever the issues are, That is part of the tragedy. Actually, I had found a forward which I think very relevant for what we are talking about, that all of us can't just say I'm getting my piece of the pie and so let's forget the others. It's a battle. I think that this post-COVID period is some sort of run banka moment, if you want to call it, Babji, because we all have to battle together for this constantly and for many years, for each of us, not for all of us, not just individually. And I think that there is a very beautiful little film. I don't know if you saw it. This is a race between differently abled children. They're running a track race, and they're all not fully in control of their bodies. And there's a child who's coming first. He reaches the end, and just before that, the child behind him falls down. So he stops and picks up that child, and together they run and they finish. I think that is the kind of attitude that the hotel industry has to follow. And I don't know, but it might be light-hearted, but it shows the double standards of how we want all of us to succeed together rather than one player grab the pie. Can we see that? No, it's not a question. What I was saying was that actually we can't have a double standard on watching one destination fall because we want to promote ours. I think, we all want a piece of the cake, and therefore we have to see that the whole cake is baked. The center of it might be, let's say, the expensive segment. In the outer, there are many more players, but people have to wade through this part to that part to that part, and our success lies in seeing the success of everybody, which is why that little it's not a question actually. I wanted, Bhuvnesh, you to show that little video, which is a few seconds only, but which shows the approach between how we shouldn't be behaving.
Aman, I fully agree, but when you talk about heritage and heritage destinations, there are those who care and there are those who don't. And what happens is that you may start off with a destination with all good intentions, using local people, and is little known. The moment it gets known, like take the case of Jaisalmer, you find people just go in there for the sake of business. Or Mount Abu, I'm talking about Rajasthan, I don't know places. Or you're talking about Simla and places. Then people just come in there and they are only interested in making money. Whereas the people who really care, they care about the destination. So, and that's how it should be. Everybody, there should be something in it for everybody.
No, but even Rajasthan, Rajasthan, we celebrate heritage. But if you look at Valley of the Loire in France, it is the size of Shekhawati and it gets 25 million tourists. So I think there's no complacency for any state, for any destination, shouldn't exist in India. We have to eat the cake, have the share. I think it's nice to end on a lighter note that we all have to share everything, and that lies our future. And if anybody has an issue, whether it's a destination or a hotel, we should all be together on that front so that we are a voice that is heard. That is all I have to say, Bhuvnesh.
Thank you. I do not even know how to explain this, but makes me a little emotional. Having to share a screen with such luminaries. You have Bapji over here. I really look up to him. You have Maharaj Kumar, Lakshyaraj Singh Ji Mewar. Yeah, I'm really grateful. Steve, you. Yeah, I've always wanted to do a show with all of you. Steve, Jose, Abinash, and somebody I really look up to everybody, but Aman, who's 10, 12 years my senior from school, I really look up to him. Maybe someday my beard can also shape like him. Having said that,
I've trimmed it today because I was meeting Lakshyaraj.
I'm going to interrupt here, but I thought that Aman was, I think, perhaps the youngest member on the forum.
Yeah, he still is. He still is, sir.
I trimmed my beard today because I don't want to Lakshyaraj people to think that I look like his father, So I said I better put my long face today. Yes.
But whole lot of comments coming. People are commenting over here. Do not end the show. Let it go on. But for want of time, we're so sequenced, one show after the other. I must tell you, I will be doing another special full day on heritage, environment and conservation, in which I want to bring out more from Udaipur, more from Jodhpur, a hell of a lot of more from Steve and Jose, Aman and Abinash. In all this, Aman and
those who are commenting, tell them that the show will go on.
The show will go on.
Tell them the heritage show will go on.
And let me tell you, in all this, we haven't spoken much about what Neemrana has done, right?
No, but I'm the moderator. So there's moderation on that front, yes.
We can see Neemrana behind you. And
no, because I came to the office. I don't know how to do this, so I'm sitting in the conference room where they have a picture. Otherwise, you would have had my bedroom or something, yes?
Okay. I'm sure that's just by default, isn't it, Aman? Just having that picture perfectly right behind your stuff is just completely by default.
Great branding, Aman, great branding.
But with it was sitting with such luminaries, if there's been any faux pas by me, I stand excused. But thank you so much. Maharaj Gajsingh ji, Bapji is not there. Maharaj Kumar Lakshyaraj Singh ji, thank you so much for gracing our show. Steve, thank you for gracing our show. Jose, thank you for gracing our show. Aman, a big thank you to you. And I'm sure you have lesser hair and younger. Abinash, thank you. And we miss Himmat. Himmat isn't there today. And Maharaj Lakshyaraj Singh ji, Maharaj Kumar Lakshyaraj Singh ji, Steve, Jose, Aman, Abinash, and Maharaj Gajsingh ji grace us with another show. I shall have this one for 2 hours.
But show this to the government. Actually, what we've been saying.
I will get people from the government on the show.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Bye-bye. Bye, Jose.
Bye.
Bye, Abinash.